Welcome to the Vault XL. Thank you for joining me. Hope you all are well. Hope you're staying hydrated out there. It's very warm temperatures. Very uh, hot here in East Tennessee. I'm going to give you some news updates, and then I'm going to jump right into the said commentary for this evening. This is a two-part live pertaining to Sonia Massie and Katie Proudfoot. So sit back and relax and enjoy the live stream. The first update is pertaining to Kamala Harris, President to Vice President. She has picked a running mate, and Mr. Tim Walz. Let me give you a little background on Mr. Walz. Just a little brief synopsis. Make sure you vote this season. All righty. Let's see what do I have here. Well, hold on 1 second, everybody. Everyone viewing. Thank you. In choosing Wallace, she's returning to a Midwestern governor, a military veteran, union supporter who helped enact an ambitious Democratic agenda for his state, including sweeping protections for abortion rights and generous aid to families. Harris hopes to shore up the campaign standing across the upper Midwest, critical region in the presidential politics that often serves as a buffer for Democrats seeking the White House. The party remains haunted by Republican Donald Trump's wins in Michigan, Wisconsin in 2016. Mr. Trump lost those states in 2020, but has zeroed in on them as he aims to return to the presidency this year and expanding his focus to Minnesota. Mr. Wallace is 60 years of age, joining Ms. Harris during one of the most turbulent periods in modern American politics, promising an unpredictable campaign ahead. Just giving you a little synopsis. Now, everyone knows that just weeks ago, Mr. Biden ended his re-election campaign, forcing Harris to unify Democrats and consider potential running mates during an exceedingly compressed time frame. So basically, Mr. Walz, who is 60 years of age, Caucasian male, is a military veteran and a union supporter. He also was a school teacher. I read that as well. So that's a nice adage. Former school teacher. So he definitely would be helpful because we don't have a lot of people entering that field now, school teachers at all. One of the fields that they're trying to get young people into, nursing and school teaching, and also police work. Now, abroad, a rocket attack at an Iraqi military base injures U.S. personnel. That's another update I have for you all. Just bring you some news around the world and the United States before I get into my topics. Several U.S. personnel were injured in a suspected rocket attack at a military base in Iraq, U.S. defense officials said Monday, in what has been a recent uptick in strikes on American forces by Iranian-backed militias. The attack comes as tensions across the Middle East are spiking following the killings last week of senior Hezbollah commander in Lebanon and Hamas top political leader in Iran. In suspected Israeli strikes, both groups are backed by Iran. At the moment, the U.S. Defense said troops at Al-Assad Air Base were still assessing the injuries and damage, and it appeared that military troops and civilians were injured. Earlier Monday, Iraqi security officials confirmed the attack, but no group has claimed responsibility. The official spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss military operations. The White House said the president and vice president were briefed on the attack. It says in recent weeks, Iranian-backed Iraqi militias have resumed launching attacks on bases housing U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria after a lull of several months, following a strike on a base in Jordan in late January that killed 3 American soldiers and prompted a series of retaliatory U.S. strikes. So that's the latest information abroad. there has been an attack, rocket attack, in a base in Iraq, and they have not assessed how many people have been injured. This content was from a day ago. I'll gladly update it before I leave this live stream. Said information. I'll also be mentioning those who are missing currently in East Tennessee due to the fact the second part of my live stream is pertaining to a 15-year-old missing out of Hendersonville by the name of Sebastian Routers. That's the second part of my live, and I will mention those missing persons when I get into that content pertaining to his biological mother, who has decided she's having warfare with another YouTuber, BHB. What a mess. Let's get down to business, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Sonia Massie. We're going to be discussing the sheriff. He doesn't want to resign. A resolution put on the ballot in November to ask if he should step down. Will he step down eventually, or will he be booted out? Also, Sean Grayson has decided, they've decided to release the police report, of what he said his reasonings were for shooting Sonia Massie. We're going to discuss that. Also, the second deputy who was on the scene with him during that murder of Sonia Massie, he has now returned to work. So those are the updates I have pertaining to Sonia Massie, and that her family and others are calling for the sheriff, Jack Campbell, to step down. Here are the latest developments. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big Angie 129 Cash App. Thank you.
I'm Dawn Sterling. We're continuing our coverage into the shooting death of Sonia Massie tonight. Sonia was shot by a Sangamon County Sheriff's deputy on July 6th. She had called deputies to her house over concerns of a prowler. Body camera footage shows Deputy Sean Grayson shooting Sonia after an argument over a pot of boiling water. Now, Sean Grayson's thoughts behind shooting Sonia Massie have been revealed for the first time after Sangamon County released the deputy's personal police report that he wrote after the shooting. News Channel 20's Carson Boyd joins us live in the studio now after reading that report. Carson, what does it say?
This is one of the first times that we are hearing about what happened that night on Hoover Avenue from then Deputy Sean Grayson. In his police report, Grayson writes that he believed that Massey was going to kill him with a hot pot of water. Grayson wrote that Massey asked him to come inside. The deputy was inside for several minutes as he asked her for identification. During this conversation, Grayson noticed a hot pot of water on the stove, and he told Massey to turn it off. Massey walked over to the kitchen, grabbed the pot, and went towards the sink and turned on hot water. Grayson stated that he drew his weapon on Massey after she said she rebuked him in the name of Jesus. Grayson writes in his report, he believed that Massey was going to kill him. With a gun pointed at her face, Massey ducked behind the cabinet, and Grayson got closer to see if she had a weapon. He wrote that as he got closer, Sonia stood up and threw the hot pot of water at him. Grayson reported shooting at Massey and her falling to the floor. Other official reports say that Grayson fired 3 shots, hitting Massey in the face once. After the investigation, the Illinois State Police said that Grayson was not justified for using his gun and fatally shooting Sonia Massie. He compared the scenario to an officer intentionally and unnecessarily putting himself in front of a moving vehicle and justifying the use of force because he was feared of being struck. I'm Carson Gordy. Back to you.
Thank you, Carson. Grayson was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, and he could face up to life in prison. Sangamon County State's Attorney John Millhiser says he will be the lead prosecutor against Sean Grayson. The county says there isn't a conflict of interest of Millhiser prosecuting a former Sangamon County deputy. Millhiser added that he plans to hold the criminal trial in Sangamon County. However, the defense can still request that the trial be moved if they feel Grayson cannot get a fair trial in Sangamon County. Any request for a change of venue would have to be approved by a judge. And coming up later tonight, Sangamon County board member Sam Camden is calling for a referendum for Sheriff Jack Campbell to be added to the November ballot. We're going to have that full story coming up on News Channel 20 at 6. Another Sangamon County board member calling for the sheriff's resignation. Thanks for being here tonight. I'm Dawn Sterling.
And I'm Stacey Sprazak. It's been nearly a month since the shooting death of Sonia Massie.
A Sangamon County deputy killed her inside her home on July 6th. That deputy, Sean Grayson, now faces charges. And tonight, that board member says the sheriff needs to go for hiring Sean Grayson, and voters should have say. News Channel 20's Carson Gordy joins us in studio with the latest. Carson?
Sangamon County Board Member Sam Kamen wants voters to decide if Sheriff Jack Campbell should step down. He says he will ask the board to approve a resolution to add the question to the November ballot. He says that he would vote for Campbell to resign for hiring Sean Grayson, with a record of 2 DUIs, serious misconduct from the military, and allegations of wrongdoing while employed at Logan County.
I would, but it's really not important how I would vote. What's important is how the majority of the voters of Sangamon County vote on this. Sheriff Campbell isn't answerable to me personally, he's answerable to the whole electorate of Sangamon County.
If this resolution makes the ballot and a majority of the voters say that Campbell should resign, the sheriff would not be forced to resign. Sheriff Campbell told me on Thursday he will not be leaving his position. I'm Carson Gordy. Back to you.
Thank you, Carson. County Board Member Tony Del Giorno and Mark Ayers are co-sponsors of that resolution. The Sangamon County Board meeting is next Tuesday. Well, Sonia Massie's family has also made calls for Sheriff Campbell to step down from his position, and parts of the community have echoed that sentiment as well, with continuous calls to make changes to the Sheriff's Department, hiring practices, as well as repeating those calls for his resignation. Since Massey's death, the community has come together in support of the Massey family in protests, rallies, healing talks, and this weekend, a motorcycle ride. News Channel 20 has received the report Grayson himself wrote the night of the shooting. In his police report, Grayson writes he believed Massey was going to kill him with the pot of hot water. Grayson wrote that Massey asked him to come inside. The deputy was inside for several minutes as he asked for her identification. Grayson stated he drew his weapon on Massey after she said she rebuked him in the name of Jesus. The full report is up on our website. And Sangamon County State's Attorney John Milhiser says he will be the lead prosecutor against Sean Grayson. The county says there is not a conflict of interest of Milhiser prosecuting a former Sangamon County deputy. Milhiser added that he plans to hold the criminal trial in Sangamon County. However, the defense can still request the trial be moved if they feel Grayson cannot have a fair trial in Sangamon County. Any request for a change of venue would have to be approved by a judge. Thanks for watching. Stick around by subscribing today and don't miss a single video.
All right, everybody, that's my first update. So we have information in the police report that Mr. Grayson wrote that she went into the kitchen. Oh, well, start off, they went inside to see about the ID. She went, he mentioned about the pot on the stove. She goes over to it, runs some water. She's, I guess he makes a comment about the steam. She mentions rebuking him. He threatens her. Oh boy. She gets down with the pot. He moves closer. And then he says she jumps up, throws the water at him, and he shoots her 3 times because he feared for his safety. That's his rendition of what took place. You be the judge. That was by WICS ABC News Channel 20. I have another piece of information I'd like to play by them as well. Same network, ABC 20. And this is from one day ago. And these are just the latest updates pertaining to what I've already mentioned as far as the second deputy returning to work. The sheriff, Mr. Campbell, is not going to resign. He's not stepping down. He doesn't feel like he's at fault either. Some more information I'd like to bring you. It's a very dicey situation. And today is the 6th of August, marking 1 month that Miss Massey was shot dead inside of her home, Springfield, Illinois. Thank you for joining me. What a mess. What a hot butter mess.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Stacey Skrzak. We are digging deeper into the death of Sonia Massie at the hands of a Sangamon County deputy. On July 6th, Sonia called the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office with concerns about a prowler. While responding to the call, former deputy Sean Grayson shot and killed Sonia. Tonight, we're learning whether the deputies were aware of Sonia Massie's mental health issues before arriving on the scene. News Channel 20's Carson Gordy joins us live in Springfield with the very latest. Carson?
Deputies were at Sonia Massie's home just hours before she was fatally shot, but Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell says it was unclear whether the deputies knew that. Dispatch records show that on July 5th at 12:49 p.m., a call was logged under 2868 Hoover Avenue, the home of Sonia Massie. The records show that her car window was broken, how a Sangamon County deputy made sure that she made it to the hospital safely, and how she received treatment for her mental state. While there were details from that previous call, Campbell says he doesn't know if they were accessed.
There's times that dispatchers may give them, as we call it, call history. Dispatchers sometimes just volunteer it to the deputy while they're en route, and sometimes the deputy will ask for it. I'm not aware of what they were told or what they asked for.
Let me intervene right there. So will we ever get information that the two officers that went to the scene, Grayson and deputy number 2, that they knew that she was a 1096? Will we ever get that information? That's what I'm curious. Here you have the sheriff saying he doesn't have any information that they had knowledge that Sonia Massie was a 1096, a person with a mental problem, mental issue. You also hear in this commentary that a deputy made sure she got to the hospital. That was earlier, the day before. So I've already brought you information that there have been 5 calls leading up to the murder within days from her mother and herself needing care. The one thing you don't hear in this commentary is that she broke out her own car windows and was hurt physically, such as cutting herself, or that there was a neighbor altercation. All you hear is that an officer helped her. But the other day I brought you information that it has been revealed that she's the one who also broke out her own car windows. And they were talking about that during this exchange between she and Grayson and the other officer on that fateful morning. And they didn't really get an understanding of what was going on with her car. That's the reason why they went back into her apartment, her home, to ask about an ID, because Grayson was, I guess, still concerned about that truck outside with the broken windows. We now know that she broke out her own windows. But what you're not hearing is if she injured herself. You hear them saying an officer made sure she got to the hospital. But what you don't hear is that she was cut her arm, cut a finger, cut a wrist, cut anything, which I find interesting. Because how do you break out a window without cutting yourself? So then you have to ask yourself, well, how did she do it? Allegedly, she used a brick to break out the windows. Okay, so you didn't cut yourself? Did she put on gloves? Who would be doing this if they're running from their neighbor allegedly? I'm going to use allegedly. Because so far, nothing's been verified that someone was stalking her, bothering her, harassing her, beating her up, or chasing her. This is allegedly her version of what she told the dispatch, that a neighbor had done something to her, chasing her. She feared for her safety, so she broke out her car windows. But see, that makes no sense to me, because why would I go break out my car windows when I can run inside of my house? I think I would run in my house first. So I believe she was having some type of mental episode, and that's why she broke out her windows. So I want to make sure I throw that in there, that there has not been any verification of a neighbor bothering her, chasing her. You haven't heard from a neighbor. You haven't heard of a dispute between she and a neighbor, and you haven't heard law officials bring you any information pertaining to a neighbor. This is why I always say you have to listen to everything that comes out. You determine what's factual, not factual. You're entitled to your opinion. But I knew something wasn't right with that truck. I always thought that. I just never discussed it during a live stream. But I'm saying it now once again. I always thought she was the one that broke out her car windows. I just never said it because I knew something wasn't right. And that was the reason why Grayson went back in her house to get her ID. Naturally, can't go back. Hindsight's 2020. Had he just left her on that porch, we wouldn't be here today, at least talking about her. But you have to tell yourself, when you listen to the things her mother has said about her not hurting herself and hurting other people, well, breaking out a car window for no reason is not a sign of someone that's stable. So my thing is, if you can break out car windows, you can do other things. Just saying. You could hurt yourself. She could hurt somebody else because her mind isn't right. And when a person is mentally ill, especially dealing with schizophrenia, if that's indeed what she has, you can't say what her mind would and would not tell her to do. Obviously, something was bothering her. Her mind was telling her, God knows what, for you all to keep having to call 911 so many times. 5 times, that's a lot of times in a couple of days. So that's what I'd like to hear is what exactly was going on? What were her words to the dispatch? And I played you that audio earlier, days ago over the weekend. One call, she doesn't even say anything. She's just holding the line and then she hangs up. So what was going on that day, the day before the shooting? What was going on the days before? What the hell was going on for her to break her windows out? I'm curious. Will a neighbor or somebody come forward to say what they noticed, what they heard? It'd be nice to have somebody else, come forward to say what they heard, what they saw, their interactions with her. It would be nice to get another person's opinion because something obviously was going on with Miss Massey.
I asked Sangamon County Dispatch whether providing background information about previous calls would be a useful resource for deputies responding to a location. They said in part, quote, useful, yes, but not practical. Researching each call history would take time. The 911 system is predicated on providing the fastest assistance. Most would not wish delays when having a 911 call about a problem. I'm Carson Gordy. Back to you.
All right, thanks for that update, Carson. We have received documents from Sangamon County that cover the investigation. Coming up tonight on News Channel 20 at 10, you can learn more about the investigation into Grayson and the second deputy. Well, area bikers are planning a ride in honor of Sonia Massie this weekend. Bikers will meet up at 1704 East Cook Street in Springfield around 2 p.m. before heading out a half hour later. The ride is set to go past the new memorial to Sonia in the capital city. For more information on the ride, head over to newschannel20.com. Sean Grayson is facing 3 counts of first-degree murder for the death of Sonia Massie. He's also facing charges of aggravated battery with a firearm and official misconduct. He pleaded not guilty to all charges. A judge denied him pre-trial release. He is set to be back in court later this month. Today marks nearly 4 weeks since Sonia Massie was shot and killed in her Sangamon County home. 2 deputies responded to Massie's home on Hoover Avenue just after 1 a.m. on July 6th. After they entered her home, the situation escalated to then Deputy Sean Grayson firing at Massey and killing her. Grayson has since been charged and fired, but both deputies were placed on administrative leave during the investigation. But we have learned today that the second deputy who witnessed the shooting has returned to work. News Channel 20's Carson Gordy joins us live in Sangamon County with the latest. Carson?
Sangamon County Communication Director Jeff Willite confirmed that the unnamed deputy is no longer on paid administrative leave. The deputy has returned to the office, but he's not yet returned to going back out on patrol. However, the deputy is still under internal investigation by the Sangamon County Sheriff's Department for what happened at Sonia Massie's home. This is not a criminal investigation. Body camera footage shows that the deputy never fired a shot and provided medical aid for Massey. Sheriff Jack Campbell says he has not read his office's interview with the deputy after the shooting and has viewed the body cam footage once.
He did nothing wrong here, so egregious that he should not be a police officer anymore. But we need to work with him and make sure that mentally that it's safe for him to work.
The Illinois State Police told me they finished their investigation into the deputy's actions on July 6th and has sent over the case to the Sangamon County State's Attorney's Office. When I reached out to the county, I asked if the State's Attorney, John Millhiser, plans to file criminal charges. I was told at this time, no comment. I'm Carson Gordy, back to you.
Thanks, Carson. We did receive documents from Sangamon County that cover the investigation. We're going to take a deeper dive into that investigation into Sean Grayson and the second deputy. That's coming up tonight on News Channel 20 at 10.
And right now, the former deputy who shot and killed Sonia Massie is still awaiting his preliminary hearing. Sean Grayson was ordered to remain in custody after being charged with 3 counts of murder, aggravated battery with a firearm, and official misconduct. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges. And you can find more coverage on Sonia Massie's death over on our website, newschannel20.com. We'll also have the latest update on air and on our social media pages.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us. Today marks nearly 4 weeks since Sonia Massie was shot and killed in her Sangamon County home. 2 deputies responded to Massie's home on Hoover Avenue just after 1 a.m. on July 6th. After they entered her home, the situation escalated to then Deputy Sean Grayson firing at Massey, killing her. Grayson has since been charged and fired, but both deputies were placed on administrative leave during the investigation. Well, we've obtained Sean Grayson's disciplinary file from Sangamon County, and it reports on the Sheriff's Department's internal investigation days after Sonia Massie's death. News Channel 20's Carson Gordy joins us in studio after digging through the documents. Carson?
After the fatal shooting of Sonia Massie, Sangamon County Sheriff's Office reviewed the body cam footage, the individual reports, and the interviews of both Sean Grayson and the unnamed deputy to decide whether they would be fired. According to Sangamon County documents, the Sheriff's Office determined that Sean Grayson violated 6 department policies after fatally shooting Sonia Massie. This includes use of force for using his gun, standard of conduct for his language before and after the shooting, and not providing medical aid, and insubordination for refusing to answer any question during his internal affairs review, even after being ordered by Lieutenant Wes Wooden. The other deputy, whose name has not been released, is still under internal investigation by the Sheriff's Office for policy violation, but it's not involving criminal repercussions.
He did nothing wrong here, so egregious that he should not be a police officer anymore. But we need to work with him and make sure that mentally, that it's safe for him to work.
The unnamed deputy was interviewed by the sheriffs in July. When asked if he felt threatened by Massey's hot pot of water, he stated in part, "Not necessarily. Once you started walking that way, I walked the other direction." In the video, the deputy is seen drawing his firearm after Grayson drew his, but the deputy did not fire any shots and provided medical assistance to Massey. How is he doing?
Not very well. He's devastated. As our office is. And, he was in shock, and, he's now in disbelief.
Well, he took a pause there as if he was about to start crying, the sheriff. So he says the other officer, deputy number 2, was devastated, in shock, just like all the other officers. Well, I don't know if you speak for everybody else, but anyway, that second deputy's back at work. He's not on paid administrative leave anymore, but he's not on patrol either. So what is he doing exactly? He's also still under investigation, but not criminal investigation, because naturally this is going to court. This is going to be going to court. So, it's still an issue of the DOJ investigating, and it's now a criminal case. So he still has obligations to speak with the district attorney and the DOJ, internal affairs, or whomever.
Sangamon County confirmed that the unnamed deputy is no longer on paid administrative leave. He's back in the office, but he's not back to patrol duty. I'm Carson Gordy. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Carson. Sangamon County State's Attorney John Milheiser said no comment when asked whether he's looking at criminal charges for the deputy. But thanks for watching. Stick around.
No comment for the other deputy. Should the other deputy be charged? Very interesting. Let's put that on the poll. Feel free to go over to my community board and take the polls. I'm going to put that up right now. Thank you for joining me. One second, everybody. 2-part live. One second. Feel free to take the poll. You will have options. Three options. Yes, not sure. Okay. I have one more content I want to play pertaining to the sheriff. My movie of the week is Blink Twice, now playing at a theater near you. Feel free to check it out. Please check out my community page for said movie updates, movie suggestions, TV suggestions, and TV content also playing in the YouTube queue. Thank you. The information that I played earlier pertaining to Sonia Massie is by WICS ABC News 20. Feel free to go back to the beginning of this live stream for said updates about breaking news around the world and the United States. CBS this morning, mornings is my next source pertaining to sheriff. The sheriff says he will not step down. This is Jack Campbell of Sangamon County Sheriff's Department. Thank you for joining me.
We are hearing from Illinois sheriff whose deputy shot and killed Sonia Massie last month. Sheriff Jack Campbell says he will not resign, but admitted his department failed. Massey, an unarmed woman, mother of two, was shot in her own home after calling 911. And Roxana Saberi is in Springfield, Illinois. Roxana, good morning.
Good morning, Christine. Sheriff Campbell defended hiring Sean Grayson, the officer who killed Massey, and has since been fired, despite the deputy's history of disciplinary issues. A reminder, some of the footage you're about to see is disturbing. What could you and your office have done better?
I don't think there's much we could have done better.
Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell insists former Deputy Sean Grayson, not his department, is to blame for Sonia Massie's death. His comments come nearly a month after Grayson responded to Massey's 911 call about a suspected prowler.
I know there's somebody outside my house right now.
Body camera video shows Massey check on a pot of boiling water. Moments later, Grayson shoots her in the face.
So why do you think Grayson used deadly force when he had other options with Sonia Massey?
I can't speculate.
But are you saying that he had been trained to use non-lethal force?
Yes, he was trained to handle that situation, and he alone failed to use that training. And there's no predicting of human behavior like that.
Still, Grayson's past behavior is raising new questions over his qualifications to serve. He was discharged from the military in 2016 for serious misconduct, had 2 DUIs on his record, and had worked at 5 different law enforcement agencies between 2020 and being hired in Sangamon County last year. His personnel file indicates at least 2 of those employers said he needed more training, and another said he hadn't demonstrated good officer safety skills.
We felt like that we were giving him the extra training that the other officers had mentioned.
So how did he slip through the cracks like that?
Somebody says he had good skills.
We felt like that we were giving him the
DUIs on his record, and had worked at 5 different law enforcement agencies between 2020 and being hired in Sangamon County last year. His personnel file indicates at least 2 of those employers said he needed more training, and another said he hadn't demonstrated good officer safety skills.
We felt like
He did not demonstrate. She didn't say that properly. The quotation says he did not determine good safety skills. So make sure to correct that if that's true.
giving him the extra training that the other officers had mentioned.
So how did he slip through the cracks like that?
I don't know.
You were aware when you hired Grayson that he had 2 DUIs on his record.
Correct.
Did that raise any red flags?
No, there's nothing in his past that would disqualify him from being a police officer in Illinois.
They're here in my house right now.
911 audio from the day before Massey's death now reveals her mother warned police that the 36-year-old was in a state of distress.
She's been mentally having a mental breakdown. Please don't send out so bad a policeman that are prejudiced, please.
Campbell said Grayson needs to be held accountable, but that this doesn't
Let's
reflect
hear that again from the mother.
state of distress.
She's been mentally having a mental breakdown. Please don't send out so bad a policeman that are prejudiced, please.
Campbell said Grayson
Wow.
needs to be held accountable.
Don't send any prejudiced officers. Once again, why did the mother say that? What has happened in the past? What had happened in the past between she, her family, and her daughter with law enforcement? Because I think that's interesting to ask that. Is this a prejudiced town? Is this a predominantly white town? Do they have a lot of issues with white and black relations that are negative, dangerous, violent? What are we talking about here? Why did she ask that on the dispatch? Please do not send any combative, prejudiced cops to the scene. Very interesting. Now we have a dead person. So this is what I talk about, speaking things into existence. You're claiming that. Don't send any combative, prejudiced people, cops to the scene. Well, why did he shoot her? Race? Slap happy? Gun happy? Untrained? Trigger happy? He's admitted he didn't have proper training at the last police department. So then you fast forward 10 months or so later, less, still not enough training. Boom, now he's murdered somebody. And then we have this chief here, the sheriff saying, well, I'm not responsible for what he did. That was his choice that he shot her. He used excessive force. We didn't train him to do that. We've trained him, but not to do that. But you did hire him. So you are responsible. So you're contradicting yourself. 1 minute you say, we failed Sonia Massie, but then I'm not responsible for what Grayson did to Massey. So that's what you're saying. We failed her, but hell, I didn't shoot her. The other officers didn't shoot her. But you're not making any sense. Because you're saying we failed her, but I didn't shoot her. The other guys didn't shoot her. He did that. But yet you're the one that hired Grayson, and he had a bad background with the military and DUIs, and he didn't have proper training, and he had negative things in his files. Allegedly, you say you didn't get any of that information. We don't know if that's true or not, because who's going to tell it? And are you going to hide files to show us that you saw that he had DUIs and negative commentary from the other law officials? So now we have to wait to see if the other places, Logan, Auburn, Pawnee, all those other places will say, yes, we sent them files to tell them he had negative write-ups. Because that's what's going to be effed up. If we find out that these other agencies sent over a file to Sangamon County to say in a report, yes, he is not a good fit. We didn't flag him, ask for him to lose his badge, but we don't record. And this is what we saw in his behavior. Here are his write-ups. Did the other agencies send negative reports over to Sangamon County? And this sheriff is lying. What is the truth?
That this doesn't reflect a systemic problem in the sheriff's office.
This was a rogue individual that acted outside the scope of his authority. We want people like that off the street.
Sheriff Campbell told us he and his colleagues will spend the rest of their careers proving that they're worthy of people's trust. Grayson has pleaded not guilty to 3 murder charges in connection with Massey's killing. Major?
Roxana, thank you very much.
All right. At CBS, that's my commentary as far as my sources rather for this information. So what is going to happen with Mr. Grayson? Will he ever get a bond or a bail? Number one. Will the second deputy be charged? He has returned to work, but he is not on patrol. You still have the sheriff saying he's not going to resign, he's not going to step down. He feels like, yes, we failed Sonia Massie, but I didn't kill her, I didn't hurt her. And I don't feel like we have any systemic problems in the Springfield Sheriff's Department. You mean of what you know of and what you're willing to admit, because there's a difference. What I know of, I don't have to admit to. And then you can't admit to something that you don't know of. So you don't know what problems you have if, one, you don't know about them, and two, you're not willing to acknowledge you have problems. You don't know if you have racist cops or not. 9 times out of 10, Springfield is predominantly white. I put my money on it. And I'm not here to say this is a racial issue. I'm just saying you can't speak of what you don't know and what you won't acknowledge. And this cop, he's not acknowledging the truth that he hired this man with a bad background from the military and DUIs and bad write-ups. That's too many negative things for one person to have. I'm sorry. So you can't say, yeah, we failed Sonia Massie, but I don't take any responsibility for what he did. He did that. But you hired him. He didn't just walk up and, walk in a police department and went into a locker room and put on a badge and an outfit. Come on now. He didn't get there by accident. He got an invitation. There's a difference. All right, everybody. Putting up more polls. This is pertaining to the second deputy, this question I'm asking. One second. Feel free to mosey on over there to my community page and take the polls. All right. Although number 2 deputy has returned to work but not on patrol, should he be back at any capacity? 3 options. Take the polls. I'm going to read off what you all have answered thus far pertaining to the questions. So far, nobody's answered that one. I'll just put it up there. 8 votes on my last question. Number 2 deputy is back at work but not on patrol. Should he be charged as well? 38% yes, 50% no, 13% not sure. 8 votes. Okay. Very interesting. Second subject for this live stream is Katie Proudfoot. Thank you for joining me. Well, as most of you know, she filed protection order against a Betty, Bullhorn Betty. I don't like mentioning people's names on my YouTube channel. It causes too much damn confusion. The court hearing will be on Thursday. What's going to happen in court? I'm curious. One person commented, well, why not do it for everybody else? The judge would have to do it for everybody else. Exactly. But the judge couldn't possibly do it for everyone that's ever put any negative commentary on their channel, TikTok, Facebook posts. That'd be highly impossible. It's up to the person who's bringing forward the allegations to say, hey, I want you to stop this person from talking, stalking. So it'd be up to KP to go to the judge with different names of people that she feels like are harassing, stalking her family, so on and so forth. Do you feel like they're being stalked? How about that? Let's ask that question. Do you feel as if Betty is stalking the family or has stalked the family in any capacity? Many of you talk about what the other family members have done. I don't know anything about what they've done, not done, because I don't keep up with them, nor do I watch her content either. So I don't know who was doing what, going by whose house. I don't participate in that nonsense. What's the truth? When she was here in Tennessee, how many times did she visit anywhere in the capacity of their home? Just curious. Miss Betty, how many times did you go by their house? How many times did you go by any of the relatives' houses, the Bauer Soxes, or whoever the hell they are? How many times did you go by their homes, anywhere they lived, anywhere that they frequent? How many times did you frequent any of their locations when you were here in Tennessee? That's the question. Yeah, well, we get to the truth. She denies all the allegations from Katie Proudfoot. She has to stay 100 feet away from the domain where they reside in Hendersonville, Tennessee. She's claimed, well, I don't live in Tennessee. I live in Florida. Well, she's talking about when you were here. What did you do when you were here? Let's go recap from days ago the allegations against Bullhorn Betty. Thank you for joining me. Oh, what a mess.
At 6. A missing teen's mother claims she's being stalked and falsely accused by a YouTuber. So now she's taking legal action. Good evening and welcome to News 2 at 6. I'm Bob Mueller. 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers disappeared 5 months ago from his family's home in Hendersonville. The teen's mother has been granted a temporary order of protection against a Florida YouTuber by the name of Bullhorn Betty. Well, tonight, News 2's Caitlin Quisenberry sat down and spoke with the influencer.
Sebastian Rogers has not been seen since February 25th. Since then, the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, along with several other agencies, searched for a little over a week before officials said they were scaling back to focus their efforts on the investigative side. YouTubers and TikTokers nationwide have covered nearly every step, but now Sebastian's mom, Katie Proudfoot, indicates it's gone too far. In a legal filing for an order of protection, Katie says Andrea Griffin, also known by her YouTube name of Bullhorn Betty, accused the family of harming their son while, quote, inciting the public and her followers to aid her in stalking. Katie calls the YouTuber, quote, dangerous. Andrea tells me she has not received the temporary order of protection, but claims she's not done anything illegal.
If it is from her, then that's absolutely a falsehood. They can go and look at all my lives. My lives never come down off my channel. Driving on public property, on public road with a camera hanging out, there's nothing unlawful about that. That happened over a month ago. It was when it's the only time I've been in the Hendersonville area. The questions of this case are becoming more and more.
Andrea says her main goal is to provide informational content to the public and to help find Sebastian. She tells me these accusations are just a distraction.
I don't like the drama on the channel, and the more I resist the drama and keep it focused about Sebastian, the more these distractions keep coming up. This is all about Sebastian Rogers, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. It's not about Seth Rogers. It's not about Katie Proudfoot. It's not about Christopher Proudfoot. It's about where is Sebastian Rogers and how can we bring him home.
The court-ordered hearing is set for August 8th at the Sumner County Courthouse. Each of Bullhorn Betty's YouTube videos will be summarized for the DA's office. Until that time, a temporary restraining order says Andrea cannot stalk or come within 100 feet of Katie or her home. In Nashville, Caitlin Quisenberry, News 2.
We reached out to Katie Proudfoot for comment and have not heard back.
Well, Katie, why haven't you responded back to the news? All this is interesting to me. One person in my chat says they believe this is about Seth. This is the reason why you're doing this is because this woman has hooked up with Seth, Mr. Mathis. So you all are going to what? Stalk, harass anybody that has any commonality with Seth Rogers. So the time you're spending worrying about who Seth is talking to, if this is the motive, the motivation, you could be looking for your son. You don't talk about your son, nothing. When you look back on all these people who have missing family members, children, and then you compare it to these people here, you have to admit there are some discrepancies in the behavior, okay? It's obvious. People are on the news every day talking about their loved ones. They got bulletin boards, posters, such as with this Massey case. It's a bit different. It's dealing with murder, but still people are out showing their concern for the young lady and wanting justice for her. Same thing with a missing person. You want the person found. You want justice if they were murdered. This woman doesn't do anything. That's why I don't understand how anybody can be rallying for her and her family. How? And that bullshit about, oh, well, everybody does things differently. Do you hear yourself? You sound just as ridiculous as her behavior. Her and Christopher Proudfoot's behavior, the other relatives. It makes no sense what you're saying. You have a whole human being missing. You gave birth to him. You didn't pick him up out of a cabbage patch. He wasn't lying on the side of the road, and you picked him up and took him home. And then at 15, decided you didn't want him any damn more, because it sounded like that's what the hell happened. So you're spending all your time worrying about, I guess, who the fuck Seth is canoodling with and hanging around with, when you should be out here rallying for your child. How can anybody think this is okay to have other people talking about this boy missing? Help me understand. He's your son. Number one, why did you decide that Betty was a problem? Because a lot of people have been talking about you and your husband, the Bauer Soxes, or whoever the hell they are, in a negative fashion. You haven't gone to court about them. You haven't gone to the judge and say, hey, I want them to quit talking about them, making videos, blah, blah, blah. You didn't do a cease and desist as Mr. Seth had done. So what is the real problem with Miss Betty? Help me understand. Is she bothering you? She was bothering you? Was she stalking you all, coming by the house, taking pictures, running by? As she said, it's a free country. I can pan my camera. Depends on the judge, I guess. Judge might say, well, you made your point one time. How many videos do you have panning the camera? I don't know. As I said, I don't watch her. But Miss Betty, were you bothering these other relatives? Going to places where they frequent, jobs, homes, what? Taking pictures of them sitting outside their house. Were you bothering them? Because by law, that can be considered stalking. And one thing you need to understand is you are not from here. So you don't really have an excuse to say why you're driving all the way from Florida to Tennessee. Bingo card. Everybody better stay woke. Jurisdiction means everything. So you might better get away with that saying, oh, I live in Tennessee. I was just riding by. I was curious. But the fact that you have a YouTube channel and then it's monetized, you make money, they're going to look at all of that. And then the fact that, ding, 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 you don't live here. And they're going to count the distance from Florida to Hendersonville. Is anybody listening to me? And then to a judge, and you get the right judge, or it depends on how you want to word it, or the wrong judge. He or she may say, well, it sounds like stalking to me because you don't even live around here. You don't even live in Nashville. Uh-oh. You don't live in Memphis. You don't live in Jackson. You don't live in Mount Juliet. You are a long way just to ride by with your camera. Pay attention. It's a long way to go just to make a video. Is this what you all do in your spare time for your YouTube channels? You just ride out of town and take pictures of people's houses? Because you might get a judge that will ask you that, and by law, he has a right to ask you. Because then he might say, well, if you're really trying to help, why didn't you go knock on the door and ask to speak to Miss Proudfoot? Checkmate. See, the coin can be weighed a multitude of ways because it only has two sides, a coin. But you keep flipping it and flipping it and flipping it, it can have 6 or 7 sides. And when you get in front of a judge, that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to get flipped and flipped and flipped. And the judge is going to ask all types of questions. He's going to ask you everything. Who you are, where you from, how do you make your money, do you work, last time you worked, what is your motivation for the videos, why did you come to Tennessee? She can ask you because they have that right to ask. What is your motivation for the content? Do you really care about Sebastian Rogers, ma'am? What is your response going to be, Miss Betty? Why do you have an interest in this case? And God forbid they show anything from your past. Oh my. Then I say you have a problem. Checkmate. I say the coin will flip about 12 times. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, this is how you get down when you go do a story, cover a story. Well, you're not a police officer. You're not a detective. You're not a PI. You're not a licensed PI. So what are you doing here again? So you got to always think about the what ifs. Because when you go into a court of law, talk is cheap. Say it again, Queen. Talk is cheap. The judge ain't gonna really want to hear all about YouTube because they already know these cases get out of control because of people on social media wanting to bring the bang for theatrics and likes and views. So the judge has probably been abreast on it already. The judge has probably been watching and looking at some of your content, your past content, and that's really what you should be worried about if they go in the belly of the beast and dig up your old videos where you and your little friends was hee-hawing down there with the laundries and the petitos. Oh, that ain't a good look. I'm just saying. That ain't a good look at all. And that's what people need to understand about a court of law, that your past can follow you in the courtroom. And it can be mentioned if allowed. So what would your explanation be for your behavior in Florida many moons ago? I'll wait. And that's what the judge will say to him or herself. Well, you know, maybe to you, you feel like you don't mean any harm, but I've seen your past behavior and I didn't like that. There are ways of handling things and getting a message out pertaining to missing people, dead people, and you tend to get a little ignorant with it and fly off the handle and hoop and holler and harass people and pull out bullhorns and you disturbing the peace and y'all parking in people's yards and on the property and blocking driveways, and I don't like this kind of behavior. See, this is what nobody's thinking about. See, I weigh all sides of the coins. That's really what's wrong with a lot of people who watch this type of nonsense with true crime and the theatrics. You only like the version that appeals to you. You like the version that appeals to you. And that is the version that of a like mind. But you may go in front of a judge who don't think this is funny and don't think it's cute. Whether he or she believes the Proudfoot are involved in the disappearance of the child or not, that ain't how court works. It don't matter what I think. I'm here to talk about what the hell you were doing. And you up here running around, following people around with iPhones and shit. Why? So you got to think like a judge thinks. Or somebody half-ass saying. Why are you following these people around? You don't know them. It ain't that serious. Because you don't really have anything invested. And a judge will tell you that. You really don't have a legal standing to be following people around. It's just because it's what people do, it don't mean that it's right. And that's why a lot of you get it confused with social media, TikTokers and YouTubers. You think because you have the right to roam and walk around, that's your God-given right. Well, somebody else may not view it that way. And when you start going on private property, public property, you're banging on doors, you're standing outside, you're sitting in your car, you have now been noticed. Somebody else has a different interpretation of that. That's the point. And then now your motive will come into question, okay? And I'm sure the judge will get wind that you have done this type of behavior before, and it may not sit well with the judge, and that's what she needs to understand. So what is going to happen on Thursday? Will Miss KP tell the judge, I also want them to stop uploading content pertaining to my husband, my family members, accusing us of murdering our child. What will the judge say? Because this has to go a little farther than just sitting outside with an iPhone. Mr. KP, are you going to tell the judge you want her to also stop uploading negative content pertaining to your situation? Okay? We will see. Will she go after somebody else? Who might that be? But you know, the old saying is, if you don't like the heat, you should stay out of the kitchen. And that goes for both sides. That goes for BHB and her kind and others. Parents who don't seem to give a fuck about the child. Because it is a two-sided coin. And what is baffling to me, all these months later, the Proudfoots don't show any type of concern for this boy child. And that's where I have the problem. That's where I have the problem. You see, you don't have any control over these other dodo birds They want to act a fool and jump out of clown cars and drones and shit to make content. That's their damn business. It's only a matter of time. Somebody will put a stop to it if you get my drift. As we say in the street, they'll meet their maker. They'll meet their maker eventually. Somebody will put a stop to all of that. Because the one thing the viewers can't do, they can't help you if somebody come out with a gun, a knife, a bat, and try to beat the brakes off of you. All for a YouTube video, TikTok video. What you gonna do, scream on a live? Help me, help me, help me. All everybody gonna do is watch. And then the video go viral. Oh, YouTuber found dead on the scene, harassing a family. So it ain't gonna matter about who liked the family or not. The point is, you ain't living. So you be laying down beside just like this missing person that we can't seem to find. Katie Proudfoot, what is your problem with your own child? So I'm gonna jump off of that bullhorn shit because I don't really like talking about these folks because they all ignorant to me. I don't give a fuck about none of them. Because one thing I don't do all that crazy nonsense. What is your problem with your own child? Help me understand. You gave birth to her. And you so worried about who's talking about you on YouTube and Susie Maytube and all of that. Where is your concern for your child? That's what's baffling to me. You're so worried about what somebody's thinking about you and your husband. But yet you all put yourselves out here. We can say this 1,000 times. You've put yourself out here to be talked about when you came to YouTube. This was the worst place you should have ever ventured. And the only thing you're doing right now is making it worse. This tit for tat type of behavior is ignorant. But that shows me you're ignorant. And you don't care anything about your child. You don't care anything about your child. It's so obvious. So this leads me to believe you didn't care about him when he was visible. And many of us don't believe he's alive. You have to use deduction in situations like this. The who, the where, the what, the why. Why would somebody be hiding him out? Come on. Talk about 5-6 months in. You can get off of that. Somebody's hiding a 15-year-old. Not hid somewhere. For what reason? How long do you think that would last? Somebody got to stay with a 15-year-old kid. For how long would that last? The motive and how long would it last? See, nobody thinks. People just talk. Oh, he's hidden out. For what reason? What reason would he be hidden out? For what? For what? For what? Who's going to sit around with a 15-year-old autistic kid? For what reason? Say it again, Queen, because they don't hear you. So you scratch that. Human trafficking? Doubt it. So that leaves personal. That's a parent. A parent, a neighbor, a friend, associate. Ding. Weigh it out. He's not seen coming or going. So that scratches out a stranger and an outside person, such as school, mate, neighbor. Ding, ding, ding. Bring it on home, Queen. Now that leaves a parent, Mr. and Mrs. Proudfoot, and also Seth Rogers. I'll let that sit right there. Where is your child? Where is your focus for your child? Why are you not out here rallying for your child? Why are you not speaking to other people, parents, about your child? Why are you not going to the school speaking about your child? Why are you not talking about your child publicly to a news broadcast? Because YouTube ain't it, sister. You all have dilly-dallied up here and played those Wells games, and you see how it has served them if you've paid close attention. It has not served them well. So how did you think it would serve you well? And yet you still kept putting your foot in the trap because you liked it. Say it again, Quay. Some people like pain. Because that's what most of us will say. Well, you must like pain. You keep going back in. I guess so. I guess we all guilty. What do they say about doing the same thing over and over again, getting the same results? Means you're crazy. Well, I be damned. So it's time for all of us to go to the damn nut house together. Where is the passion, compassion for Sebastian, ma'am? Where's the love, the concern for your son? Sick of people talking in circles about what somebody should and shouldn't be doing publicly. Well, you worry about your little kid. Pray that don't nobody snatch yours up. That's what you do. Worry about your own. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to this heifer here. Where is the compassion for your child? And then you're lollygagging around with somebody else's damn kid for the summer. It was a joke. And you got her all out in public like she's some type of damn doll, putting her on Front Street. Because you don't give a fuck about the main one, which was the one you gave birth to. That's obvious. Don't need rocket science. Don't need a guidebook. Don't need a hymn book. Don't need the Bible. It is what it is. You have shown no love for this child. And then you got the nerve to take up with a little girl that belongs to Christopher Proudfoot and parade her around, like I said, like a damn toy. You're a witch. You're nothing but a stringy-haired witch. A dirty, stringy-haired witch. That's what you are. And let me tell you, sister, your days will be numbered. You hurt that boy. You, your husband, any entity related to either one of you. That's why the scripture says, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. You damn right. Because he will handle all. We don't have to do anything. It's obvious something terrible happened to Sebastian. No accident. Didn't fall off a bicycle. Hell, he didn't even go outside and do a damn thing. You got tired of dealing with your child. And you took the easy way out. That's what I believe. You took the easy way out. So we now can say, drum roll, it's not even that you don't want to be around children. Oh, shit. Come on with it, Quinn. You didn't want that child. You didn't want to be bothered with that child. Is that right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Or you just putting on because you didn't have no choice but to take in that little girl because the court ordered her to come to Tennessee to be with you all. So which is it? You just didn't want your kid, but you don't mind fooling with this kid. Or you were playing a role because you were stuck in the middle with your husband and the courts for Faith to come here. Help me out. You are dirty or something. You and that Teletubby, that $2 ass Build-A-Bear, you've been running around hanging on his hip like you a $2 ass toy. Both of you hideous. Both of you hideous. Because you came up here on a wire and you made a fool out of yourself and you tried to make a fool out of that boy. But he's a child. He's exempt. You got to bear that cross for how you talked about your child up here on the wire. That's on you. And this dirty game you playing with Faith, that's on you as well. And this bullshit of going into courts with this lady, hey, I ain't got nothing to do with it. That's on y'all. But you know all eyes are on you and all eyes are watching you. And God sees everything. And he knows what happened in that house. He knows what happened from the moment you left that restaurant in case he didn't make it home. Checkmate. And in the end, sister, You gotta sleep with that, you and Mr. Teletubby. I ain't gotta. All praises be to God. Amen. You know what happened to your child. And all this dilly-dallying you all are doing with everybody. You're just making a fool out of yourself. Maybe you think you've gotten away with it. I pray not. I pray they have something on you, because I think your hands are dirty. I believe that. And if they're not, I can stand corrected. Ain't no problem. But my spirit tells me otherwise. You have hurt that child. And you're doing whatever you can to try to sweeten the pot on your behalf, but it ain't working. Because you see what people see. They see fraud in you and your husband. And you sent that message to the universe. We did not. You did that. You're showing the world you never cared for your son. And he was the opposition. Say it again, Quay. He was the opposition. And you took care of that. And now you've been playing a role like you're the caring stepmother. Well, now. Image is everything, is it not? But how long can you carry the lie? That should be the question you should be asking yourself, Katie Proudfoot. How long can you and Christopher Proudfoot and the extended family members carry the lie pertaining to Sebastian Rogers? That's my content, everybody. Thank you for joining me. God bless you. Have a wonderful week. Check my community page for said updates. Take the polls. I'll come back later. We'll go over the polls and we'll discuss them at length. Check out my content pertaining to Sonia Massie, which is at the beginning of this live stream. Also, I bring you updates at the beginning of the live stream pertaining to Kamala Harris. She has picked a running mate. He is coming out of Minnesota. He's the Minnesota governor. And I also want to bring you some updates of people who are currently missing here in East Tennessee. Prayers for Sebastian Rogers. Prayers for justice. The truth be told. The truth be known. What happened to this child? I do believe there's foul play. And I pray that God will work it out, because he's the one that knows all. WATE.com is the source. Thank you for joining me. If you have information to any of these missing children, people, please dial 1-800-TBI. Find Holly or Helene Snap. 19. Reported last seen in the Bell Ridge Drive area, Kingsport, October 15, 2023. TBI reports she is 4 feet, 8 inches tall, weighs 110 pounds, has brown hair, hazel eyes. Her mother shared that she has not heard from her daughter since October 5th. That is almost a year now. October 15th. Mom hadn't seen her since October 5th, 2023. Layla Santanello. Last seen in Kingsport as well. June 26th, 2023. So this is kind of scary. 2 young girls both missing out of Kingsport, Tennessee, same year. Let's see. 4 months apart. She's reportedly 4 feet 10, same stature. Blonde hair, brown eyes. Her mom has offered a $2,000 reward for information about Santanello's location. Did Santanello, Layla, know Helene Snap? Because they're both missing 4 months apart from the same city, Kingsport, Tennessee, which is east of Queen. Summer Wells. Reported missing June 2021 when she was 5 years old. In the more than 2 years since, dozens of searches, hundreds of tips, countless hours of searching, investigating have yielded no new details in the search for Summer. Tennessee Silver Alert, Roxanne Gallagher, 69 years of age, last seen Dogwood Road, wearing a blue t-shirt, jeans. Gallagher may be driving a 2000 Buick LeSabre with the Tennessee plate BGR 9782. Caucasian female. Audie Harness, 70. Last seen in Scott County, May 4th. Harness, 4'11", 160 pounds with gray hair, blue eyes. TBI says he may be driving a white 2000 GMC Envoy with the Tennessee tag 175BDFK. May 22nd, TBI shared that he also may be in a white 2000 GMC Jimmy with Tennessee tag 175BDFK. Daniel Dewey, 72. Last seen March 24th, 2022, Knoxville, Tennessee. 2 a.m. as he walked near Black Oak Baptist Church near Old Manorville Pike. Silver alert was issued. TBI, March 26th. 6 feet tall, 190 pounds, gray hair, blue eyes. His friend Linda Gray spoke with WATE in April and pleaded for his safe return. Robert Stallings, 77, last seen April 4th. Silver alert was issued April 6th. Anyone who has seen Stallings is asked to call Kingsport. Once again, another missing person from Kingsport. 423-229-9300 or TBI 1-800-TBI-FINE. Across the state, there is one additional active endangered child alert, 5 amber alerts, and 4 silver alerts. To find the latest, visit TBI's website. Authorities say nearly 400 people go missing in Tennessee each year. That's 5 people for every 100,000. Check the list of people missing from East Tennessee to see if you can help locate someone. Once again, if you need an update on these said persons I've mentioned, feel free to go to TBI's website. Prayers for these people, prayers for the truth, prayers for justice, if indeed these people did not willingly walk away. Prayers for the apprehension of a suspects, and anyone who has information to their whereabouts or demise. Prayers for Summer Wells. Prayers for Sebastian Rogers. Know that God got it. And God sees all. And if indeed both of these children are missing by the hands of their parents or anybody that knows them, know that justice will come and it will be swift and have mercy on your soul. Because there is no logical reason to take the life of a child. Not now, not never. That's my content. Thank you for joining me. You have been listening to The Vault XL.